Right, here's what leads on all angles at 11 o'clock. The recovery plan for the basic education sector will be laid bare today. President Cyril Ramaphosa says schools must become places that are free of corporal punishment, sexual abuse, gender-based violence, racism, substance abuse and other ills. Ramaphosa was speaking at the 2023 Basic Education Sector Lekgotla. The two-day event will focus on equipping learners with knowledge and skills for a changing world. eNCA senior reporter Silindelo Masikane is following that story for us, and she joins us now live to tell us more. Slee, quite a lot that has been said by President Cyril Ramaphosa there today. Did he mention anything about how poor infrastructure is in the education sector, for instance?
Well, of course, the president did outline a number of the challenges in the sector, saying that he is expecting this Lekgotla to try and come up with those solutions. In particular, we know that this is the 8th edition of the basic education sector, and we know just how important basic education is in terms of laying that foundation for young South Africans to be able to pursue their studies further and, of course, build the nation. But I think one of the main issues in terms of infrastructure is that issue around rolling blackouts and the impact it's having on education and a number of other sectors. To give us more context around when perhaps the president will address the nation, I am joined by the presidency spokesperson, Mr. Vincent Magwenya. Thank you so much for your time, sir. When are we having a family meeting? We have rolling blackouts and the country essentially is in a crisis.
No, indeed, the country is in a crisis, and the president has said so himself, and the president has used that word and that sense to drive urgency and speed within NECOM as well as ESCOM in terms of resolving the current outages, but also in terms of implementing the various elements of the Energy Action Plan, which should see us out of this current situation in the short term, reduce the severity of load shedding, in the medium to long term completely end it. So there is a great deal of focus on fixing ESCOM plant, rather improving ESCOM plant performance. At the same time, look at adding additional megawatts into the grid. Issues of diesel are being addressed, issues of emergency procurement are being addressed, and there's a great deal of effort and a sense of urgency around this crisis. The president fully appreciates the devastation to small businesses, the inconvenience to households, and it is regrettable that we are still plagued by the stage 6 load shedding. But nonetheless, South Africans can take some cool comfort that there is leadership and that there is a lot of work that's being done to make sure that we reduce the level of the severity rather of load shedding, and we can get to a stage where there's less harm to the economy.
Are you able to give us any time frames in terms of when we can expect the president to take the nation into his confidence?
No, at this stage I'm not able to give you time frames as yet. The president has instructed the NECOM team to go back and be more focused on elements that can be implemented and have an immediate sort of impact. That is not to say we'll completely eradicate load shedding. So teams are hard at work, focusing on those areas that can be executed quite quickly. He is not satisfied with what has been given so far, notwithstanding the 6 months progress that NECOM has reported, which is acknowledged and applauded. But as we stand, the president wants to see more work being done and wants to see timelines being brought forward. And until such time, he has a level of satisfaction that there are stronger measures that he will announce. He's going to focus on driving the teams to deliver on this work.
In terms of the request by the president to the ESCOM board to suspend the tariff increase, has he received a response at all?
That matter is still under discussion. The president fully appreciates the funding pressures that ESCOM is faced with. On the other hand, we have consumers and households that are reeling under the high cost of living, whether it's price of fuel, load shedding itself. And so what the president is seeking is some form of balance here. Balance that will not shortchange ESCOM, but on the other hand, balance that will cushion household as well as small businesses. And in that regard, the president is pleased that the Minister of Finance is looking at various measures that will provide that cushion to smaller businesses and provide that cushion and support to poorer households and cushion them from the impact of this load shedding.
Thank you so much for your time. All right, that is the presidency spokesperson, Mr. Vincent Magwenya. Thank you for your time, sir. Bamasogo, I do want to now take you to a clip of the president during his address during the opening of that Lekgotla. Let's just take a listen to what he had to say with regards to the expectations, of course, around the Lekgotla and the state of basic education as it is right now.
Now, this year's results were particularly pleasing to me in that the performance of learners from poorer schools show the deepening impact of education spending and the social wage more broadly. When you look at the performance all round, the one that I zeroed into, as I told the minister when she presented the results to me, I said to her when I observed the rising performance in poorer schools, I said, this is like touching the Holy Grail. Since Bantu education, which really did one of the most terrible damage to the education of our nation, as we've been improving, particularly in poorer schools, and the results are becoming more and more positive and almost becoming equal with the more higher, better endowed schools. I said, this is the silent revolution that we've always sought to want to achieve.
And Slee, I mean, once people are out of the hands of the basic education, they also face the trouble of unemployment. Did the president mention anything about that?
Certainly so. We know just the numbers in terms of the unemployment rate in this country. For the youth, it's quite high. And what the president really emphasized was the issue that he wants young people to consider entrepreneurship as well as artisan skills to further their studies post their basic education. Let's take a listen.
High numbers of unemployed youth is something no country can afford, but it is even much worse if they are also not in education or training. Now that training must start at school, and it is that training that will keep young people focused, because they will know that if they have trained in some of these subjects, they are not easily going to join the ranks of the unemployed, because the economy is hungry for people who are skilled in those disciplines. Inclusive growth and shared prosperity can only really be achieved when more people are working. A productive workforce cannot be achieved if we do not remake ourselves as a nation that is committed to lifelong learning in various ways. And I want us to underline lifelong learning, because it is this lifelong learning opportunity that we must encourage people to embark upon, to go and learn even beyond what we have learned at school, university, about a number of other disciplines. It could even be learning about trees, how you name trees and how you recognize trees. It could be learning about a new skill, even if you are not necessarily going to participate actively in it.